The talk I'm going to do is, the first part of it is about environmental art and my take on that. And the second section is the kind of public art that I've created. And these tend to be much larger pieces. They can range from anything from about 3 or 4 meters high to the largest, which is about 12 meters high. Environmental art, it's really just outdoor artwork. It started in the kind of 50s and 60s in America. And what's so wonderful about it is it actually is so accessible. So, you know, you don't have to go into a gallery space. It can quite often be in a park. It can be in woodlands. It could be on the beach. It can be in many different places. And I think what's quite powerful about it is it's introduced people who maybe in the past weren't particularly interested in contemporary art. So in a way, it kind of gives the opportunity to all sorts of people from walks of life to experience what artists are making. And this is a piece that I did back in 2009, and it's called Vestige. Near the woods in my area, I realized that there was a lot of stonework and old cottages, but it was just what was abandoned. I found out that after the First World War, the Forestry Commission was established because there was a massive shortage of wood throughout the UK. And what they did was they actually moved a lot of crofters away from this land, and it was replanted with trees. And it made me think it'd be quite interesting to do an art installation that was imagining this community, these people actually still there, this semblance or a vestige of them still there on that land. And it got me thinking about all sorts of aspects about ancestry and about what our own position is and where we stand within the larger world. And with using the mirror, it's a great way of actually creating a kind of illusion that they're there one minute and then gone the next. But also quite often you're looking at the mirror and you're getting a reflection of yourself. So again, it creates this kind of nexus or synergy between us and nature. Now this one here was one that followed on a few years after that. And I was asked to take part in the inaugural exhibition for Surrey Sculpture Park. This is an amazing location. It's the most beautiful part of Scotland. And I was immediately drawn to the water and to the beach. And it's kind of about, it's about our origins. It's about the tide, the ebbing and flowing. It's a bit like life ebbing and flowing. And so again, they were a direct reference to the idea of time and the connection between us as humans and the natural world. I was very interested to do a piece which was much larger. So I wanted to evolve the process. So with this piece here, these were actually about 3 meters high, so quite considerably larger than the other figures I've made previously. And I was also quite taken with the idea of creating a piece that actually showed in many religions, you know, there's the sense of afterlife, and even from a kind of natural point of view about atoms returning to the earth or being recycled in some way. Now this piece here was actually in 2014. I was contacted about a production company called Red Bee Media, who were commissioned by the BBC to create a kind of intro for the whole series of documentaries that they ran in 2014. Now, as it happens, my granddad was in the First World War. He was there for 5 years and he was a fascinating man. So when this opportunity came up, it was very poignant for me because it was almost like a homage to my grandfather, but also a homage to the other men and women who took part in the World War I. The one thing my granddad always said to me, he said, the most important thing was actually coming back to his family. This is the other side of my practice, which is the more kind of permanent large scale pieces that I do. And this one here is called Skytower. It's about 6 meters high, and it's made up of about 6,000 pieces of round bar metal. Every single one of them has been hand cut, and then every one of them bent to assemble to make them look like twigs. The reason for this sculpture was really led by the location. I was asked by the Forestry Commission, who had created these new woodlands near urban areas, and they took me on the first day, and it just happened to be really windy. And the idea just kind of sprang into my mind immediately. And I'd been thinking about the whole aspect of order and chaos and deconstructivism. And I kind of really wanted to do a sculpture that was actually showing something that is purposely made by humans, but had been impacted by nature. It's just a reminder about how all-powerful nature is. It's that contradiction between, the very straight edges that are constructed, that people construct quite often in architecture, and then the complete chaos and random aspect of the piece that's been blown out. And this was in southern Taiwan, and this was actually made completely with bamboo. And the challenge with this was that there's absolutely no modern technology used at all. The whole structure is held together by hemp rope. But it was interesting, as the weeks went past, they started to come and get involved, helping to build it. And it was great because we all of a sudden were kind of communicating through just making, which was really interesting. Crossing boundaries, and there was that kind of cultural exchange as well. This was a really nice piece to do, partly because it was really connecting with the director of the DZNE institution in Germany, research into Alzheimer's and dementia. So there's an opportunity for me to try and learn more about this, and also connecting art and science. And quite often, art and science are quite closely linked. And the idea of the sculpture, he said to me, look, we want a sculpture that conveys hope. It's most important. So I went away with that, and I thought, yeah, I want a bit of the science in there. So all of these disc shapes and rod shapes represent the neurotransmitters, and as they're kind of flashing through the synapse. But then I wanted to create something that actually created clarity. So when it comes to the large mirrored section there, it's almost like all these pieces are coming together and they're melding, and it's as if they're knitting together and repairing. So it's this, a kind of visual metaphor for the brain actually healing itself, and then being able to see the world clearly again. And I want to talk about Arcadia. This is a project that my wife Susan and I have started. We bought a place about 3 years ago. It's a beautiful area. We've got about 21 acres of land, and very fortunately, we have got about 12 acres of ancient woodland. So for the last 3 years, we have strived to create an environmental art trail and sculpture centre. So this is the main studio space that we've got here. So it's a really nice big space, and we've now developed that into a fully functioning sculpture centre. And this will be open to artists to come and do residencies. We're putting in accommodation so people can come for a week. And we're also working with local schools to do art lessons and sculpture practice lessons as well. So that people can come along and actually create their own artwork. But the main thrust of this is that we're looking at the benefit of spending time in nature, but also the combination of art and nature, so that you're able to walk around the trail and actually see art in place in a natural setting.